Loving, caring, compassionate, and wise didn't make the prophet's list. But no matter, all of this, all of Islam is summarized in these words: I am the
messenger imbued with power, the Lord of the throne, mighty, one to be obeyed. Quran 81 verse 22. And people, your comrade, is not one who is possessed, or one who has gone mad.
A man who must repeatedly protest that he isn't possessed is. The reason the protestation is repeated so often is because the charge was leveled with such regularity. The Meccans recognized that revelations this demented had to be mired in hell. They further realized that revelations this delusional were hallucinogenic, the product of insanity.
Quran 81 verse 23. And without doubt he saw himself on the clear horizon.
Some translations say he saw him, as in God, on the horizon. Others say Muhammad saw himself. They are equally true. In Islam, man created God in his image. Muhammad modeled Allah's persona. Maududdi's interpretation of this verse is consistent with Ali's translation. They claim Muhammad saw his Lord, as in Allah, but that's a problem because Aisha said,
in Bukhari, whoever claims that the Prophet Muhammad saw his Lord is committing a great fault, for he only saw Gabriel in his genuine shape, in which he was covering the horizon.
The Noble Quran translation agrees with the Hadith. It claims that it was Gabriel on the horizon, and it goes so far as to add the angel's name to the text. But surely the Islamic God isn't suggesting that Gabriel, a mere angel, is the Lord of the throne. So we are left with nothing but bad choices. The most direct reading has Muhammad saying these grandiose things about himself, as the list follows the messenger. And it's senseless to promote an angel to the status of Lord, unless, of course, that angel is really Satan, whose life ambition is to be
imbued with power, the Lord of the throne, mighty, one to be obeyed.
Let's take this one step further.
Bukhari. Masruq asked Aisha, O Mother of the Faithful, did Muhammad see his Lord? Aisha said, What you have said makes my hair stand on end. Know that if somebody tells you one of the following things, he is a liar. Whoever tells you that Muhammad saw his Lord is a liar. Whoever tells you that the Prophet knows what is going to happen tomorrow is a liar. And whoever tells you that he concealed is a liar. Aisha added, the Prophet saw Gabriel in his true form twice.
So Muhammad lied when he said he was a prophet. What's more, if Muhammad only saw Gabriel twice, the Quran is 112 surahs too long. Knowing the truth, Muhammad desperately tried to deny it. But the more he protested, the more obvious his scam became.
Quran 81 verse 24. Neither is he a concealer, withholding knowledge of the unseen, nor is it, the Quran, the word of an evil spirit, accursed, the utterance of a devil, the curses of Satan.
The accusation was very close to being accurate. The Quran is
the word of an evil spirit accursed, the utterance of a devil, the curses of Satan.
According to the Hadith, Aisha was asked about her husband's nature. She said,
Muhammad's character is the Quran.
In other words, he was his God, and his psychopathic delusion and visions of grandeur continued to the bitter end of the surah.
Quran 81:26. Then where are you going? Verily, this Quran is no less than a reminder to all the alamin, the men and jinn, the demons or devils.
Muslims are quick to criticize any criticism of Islam, claiming that all critiques are inaccurate because they only focus on verses that make their religion look bad. They may be right. Having analyzed 1,000 verses thus far, every one has been bad. Others claim that infidels unfairly take their scriptures out of context. Times have changed, they say. But this charge is a two-edged sword. If the Quran is no longer relevant to our times, why follow its teachings? Some give up defending Islam and simply point an accusing finger at their antagonists, calling them hate-mongering racists. Having read these surahs, I am sure you recognize that for every accusing finger they thrust forward, 3 more point back at them. In this regard, Muslims are similar to communist propagandists. They project their flaws onto their opponents, and thereby confuse enough people to thwart an assailant's effectiveness. Yet the inverse of their charge is true. It is Islam that is racist, hateful, and intolerant. It demonizes all who don't surrender. It is therefore permissible, even proper, to hate Islam without hating Muslims, just as it was possible to despise Nazism without hating Germans. In fact, the German people were the biggest beneficiaries of our fight against Hitler's demented doctrine. Our awakening and resolve, our courage and sacrifice, freed Germans, as it may someday free Muslims from a similarly oppressive, racist, warmongering, and demented doctrine. Let's review a few more surahs. Surely we will find something redeeming. The 87th is from the early Meccan period. Imam Madudi explains,
The Prophet was reassured, "Do not worry, we shall enable you to recite this word. Then you shall not forget it." Then, after a lapse of time, on another occasion, when the Resurrection Surah was being revealed, the Prophet involuntarily began to rehearse the words of the revelation. Thereupon it was said, "O Prophet, do not move your tongue to remember this revelation hastily. It is for us to explain its meaning."
If this sounds repetitious, it's only because it is. No, we have not reviewed the 87th surah. But unable to remember what he said, one surah to the next, Muhammad had an annoying habit of repeating himself. While this particular tongue movement obsession is covered multiple times, it's a Quranic piker compared to Pharaoh and Moses. Their similar encounter was replayed 50 times. Muhammad must have loved plagues.
Bukhari. Allah's apostle said, "Plague is a means of torture which Allah sends upon whomsoever He wishes."
As for forgetfulness, consider this.
The Prophet said, "It is a bad thing that some of you say, 'I have forgotten such and such a verse of the Quran, for indeed I have been caused to forget it.' So you must keep on reciting the Quran, because it escapes from the hearts of men faster than a runaway camel."
Returning to the tongue-lashing of the 87th surah, we find,
in verse 1, "Glorify the name of your Lord, the Most High, who creates, then proportions, who has measured, and then guided."
Did you notice the blunder? Muslims are told to glorify the name of their Lord before they know His name. Muslims don't notice this omission because they recite the Quran in the order it was assembled, not the order it was revealed. By reordering the Quran chronologically, a host of serious problems emerge. Allah doesn't become God until very late in the game. The lack of guidance is also a problem. You could put the full measure of what the dark spirit has given thus far in a thimble. It's not only insufficient, it's perplexing. Curiously, the Islamic God's guidance has failed to include any of the 10 Commandments. Odd that he claimed to have written the Torah. In fact, his messenger would systematically violate all of them. He placed Allah before Yahweh. He turned a graven image, a black stone, into a god. He bowed down, prostrating himself to a former idol. He created a false doctrine. He renounced the Sabbath. He rebuked his father and mother and severed family ties. He committed murder and adultery countless times. Stealing became his passion. He called it booty. He bore false witness and became one of history's most egregious cons. Coveting money, power, and sex drove him to create Islam. Muhammad couldn't have done more violence to the core teaching of the Torah if he had tried.
Quran 87, verse 4, "Who brings forth herbage, then makes it dried up, dust-colored, swarthy stubble? We shall make you read, so that you will not forget."
This transition is as lame as the command. He never learned to read. The Quran calls Muhammad the unlettered prophet. But there is a story behind the duplicity. Our hero wanted to have it both ways. He wanted the respect only learned and literate men possess. After all, the Quran was supposed to be a book. Previous prophets became prophets by actually writing down their prophecies. Yet this prophet